Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I'm from Yeo Workshop, and I'm presenting the research presentation from. So basically, it's more like what research the gallery has done and the different sort of angles that we have taken, sources that we have used and encountered during this journey. So I would also like to thank Hanan, our extra researcher as well, who also helped me with my research. So I'll start with this quote by Nama himself. So the most important areas of anatomy is to be studied are the points of articulation. So we were really inspired by this quote, which gave the exhibition its name, Points of Articulation, because he was really studying a lot about the anatomy of the human body and the figure as well. So that's how we got the name of the exhibition, because we were looking through his quotes and we found this really beautiful and really moving. So to share a bit more about the artist, so primarily he worked with life drawing and figure study, and he was a founding member of Singaporean art group, Group 90, which was like a central group towards the development of figurative art in Singapore, because at that point in time there was no formal platform to practice life drawing in Singapore and to explore the development of figurative art. So it's one of the first of its kind during that period of time, during the 90s. So he was really a central figure in figurative art in Singapore. He was also a Colombo Plan scholar, and he studied so it was on a scholarship to Sydney, and he majored in figure painting and drawing. And he also, when he came back, he actually taught in Singapore in a various number of schools, and also at LaSalle. He lectured in LaSalle as well. And he introduced life drawing as a subject to into LaSalle's syllabus as well. So I start off with my presentation with our visit to Seremban. So you do see some faces there in this room. So really thankful to the family who actually supported us for the research. And yeah, so Nama had his works distributed throughout different places, throughout his different homes. So he had a house in Seremban, in Johor, and also back here in Singapore as well. So we were going down to look at the works, and yeah, so this was in Seremban where we encountered some of the works, and yeah, so this is our team there. So one of the really important sources that we had was actually the sketchbooks. So he had a lot of sketchbooks, like so far we have about 20, but I mean there's a lot more. Huge collection because he had a lifetime habit of carrying his sketchbooks around wherever he went, and he was always sketching. So he was sketching anything, like really anything that caught his interest, from like landscapes, nature, to people walking along the streets, someone who had an interesting facial feature, or a group of people doing a certain activity. So the sketchbooks each had like different types of subject matter, definitely, and the sketchbooks also range from the 50s all the way to the end of his life. So it was really interesting and a really good resource to track the development of his style and the types of mediums that he used and his thought processes. So, and we also found sketches of the human figure even from the 50s, as early as the 50s. We can see his interest in the figure as well. And that could also be linked to how he was first exposed to life drawing and figurative art in Sydney while he did his scholarship there in the 50s. So the picture on top, you can see that's the sketchbook where he was exploring the figure. So this was in the 50s. Yeah, and he used a variety of mediums, as I mentioned, such as graphite, pen, watercolors, and pastels. And yeah, there's also plein air sketching that we see, really spontaneous kind of works that we see. And he also signs off some of them with the places that he visited. So you can track the different kinds of places that he went to as well. Yeah, so yeah, and he also had personal lecture notes and personal and lecture notes that we've encountered during our research as well. So so he did make references to a lot of European great artists such as Picasso, Dali, and he copied some of their compositions in his notes or made notes about the composition, etc. So he was really he didn't just draw, but he really did his research into art history, and he was really passionate about that as well. And of course, he had many books, and sometimes when he didn't purchase the books, he actually wrote down quotes from the books or made photocopies of those as well. So it would be really interesting if we could get a look in his library of books as well. So he did have medical notes for anatomy and also made references to medical books as well. And one interesting story was that, like he mentioned in his interview with the National Archives, that he actually visited the morgue when he was studying in Australia because he was really interested in capturing an accurate representation of the human body. So he studied the anatomy, like the skeletons, the bones, and how each joints connect. So we can really see that in, so this is a scan from his lecture, his own personal notes. We can see how he took a really detailed drawing of all the bones. And so yeah, he makes notes on foolscap papers and also photocopies them to give out in his class. So we found like stacks of photocopied of his own handwritten notes that he gives out to his students in class. And they contain notes about the anatomy, the figure, drawing, lines, and also drawing exercises. So the drawing exercises would kind of be like, look at the figure and sketch for 30 seconds, sketch for 15 seconds, start with an oval and develop into the figure from there, that sort of thing. So there are quite a few different kinds of exercises that he has as well. And also we see quotes that are scattered throughout the exhibition that we have drawn from his personal lecture notes as well. So he has a lot of beautiful quotes about the human body and how he was really in love with drawing the figure. So we also have some lecture slides that he used. So these tiny slides that you see on the top. So he used to have like a old school projector and he showed them during lectures, or when he had friends over, he would show some of his works, some of works of other people, and also personal photographs as well. So I guess it's a really good teaching tool, and we can see what sort of materials that he used in class as well. And we also have personal photographs as well. So he used them. So the personal photographs, he had some of them are of his friends, so we can kind of track the network, like the different kinds of people he interacted with, artists, galleries, museum, etc. So, and also of course Group 90 and fellow artists, yeah. So personal photographs are also definitely a very important source that we used as well. And he also took photographs of his own works as well. So maybe he could have brought them around, or he could have shown to people his works. I mean, it's really portable as well, compared to if you bring like the entire huge works, because as you have seen next door, his works are really huge. So he does photograph some of his works as well. So we've displayed his personal notes and sketchbooks in an acrylic case that you can be seen next door. So we selected a few that you can take a look at. Yep. Yeah, so this is a quote by Mr. Chia Wai Hon about Nama and also Group 90. So this was taken from their exhibition catalogue. Yeah, so this leads me to a brief section talking about Group 90. So yeah, this is Group 90. So Group 90 was committed to the study and interpretation of the human figure and form. And as I mentioned just now, they are like the first of its kind in Singapore, definitely. And that really exclusively focused on the practice of life drawing and studying the human form. And so they subscribed to more of a European art tradition, using the human body in developing artistic mastery in depicting forms. And yeah. So they held many exhibitions, like almost every year, which included Figurama and New Sense, Newspiration, etc. So these are some of their exhibition catalogues that we have come across. So these exhibition catalogues are really useful when it comes to researching the artist, because we see who else was in the group, what sort of works they've shown as well, and what works did Nama show. And yeah, it's like an organic community where we try to plot out the artist network, definitely. So it's really important. And through looking at the exhibition catalogues, we actually came across, so we found Newspiration at Baska's Art Academy. So Mr. Baska was a close friend of Nama, and this exhibition was actually held at Baska's Art Academy. So this was like a really interesting find that we had, and how the group was really organic, and they were like interacting with friends and helping each other out. So it was really nice and heartwarming, definitely, and try a good way to understand the artistic atmosphere, environment at that point in time. Yeah. And of course, we had various conversations with people like Nama's family, artists like Sim Tong Kearn, Chia White Hon, Choi Wen Yang, who gave their thoughts about Group 90 and Nama, and also art historian and critic Mr. Sabapati, of course, and researchers like Yilin. And yeah, all these would condense and come up in the talks later on. So that is another conversation that we will be having together. So that's something to look forward to as well. And so it's definitely important to talk to people because that offers various perspectives, and also establishing the network of who knew everyone, and all these personal stories definitely is an important source as well. Yeah, so we also found newspaper articles. Some of them are accessible online. Some of them you have to go down to National Library to take a look at the microfilm. So these newspaper articles are important in definitely in there are some reviews by Mr. Sabapati himself, of course, and also about the exhibition, and so they're important primary source, definitely. And also there are oral archives. There was an oral archives done by Joyce Fan in 1997. So all this information culminated into a timeline that you can see next door as well on the wall. So the really huge timeline, and really just plotting Nama's life and as an artist, as an educator, as a family friend. So yeah, so it's a wealth of information. So I invite all of you to take a look at the timeline, definitely. And also right here in this space as well, we've invited 4 contemporary artists to respond to Nama's works. So that would be Alvin Ong, Jason Wee, Mike Cheng, and Milenko. So we wanted to have contemporary responses, like to kind of track how figurative art is like in Singapore now. So they did create works in response to Nama. And yeah, and of course, finally, the works themselves are a valuable source and really important in understanding Nama as an artist. And so, like the selection of works that we see, we try to include works from different mediums and different years as well. So, so we do see with pastel, with ink on paper, and pastel and gouache, mixed media kind of thing. So we do see different types of mediums that he used to explore in expressing the figure as well. And that is, visual analysis is definitely something that is very important in any sort of artistic research. So the works do speak for themselves too, as well. Yeah. Yeah. So I end off with this quote that Nama said himself, like, the artist who can draw figures is necessarily more skilled than those who do other subjects. So yeah, he really placed like the figure as something that is very important in his life as an artist, definitely, and very central as well. Yeah. Thank you.